Hi there, this is Justin Krane, certified financial planner, professional, and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. How can you be congruent with your money? How? By making financial decisions that align with your values. I love that. Totally, right?
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
What's up, everybody? This is Justin Krane running Money You Got This. Super psyched that you're here today. This episode is brought to you today by Krane Financial Solutions. We offer financial planning and investment management services to all of you people out there, in particular business owners with an emphasis on growing their businesses and getting clear on their numbers. Today, I have a really cool lady on as a guest. I know her for a while. We've shared clients and probably were both evacuated when the fires hit in Calabasas. Her name is Angela Setters-Bessard. She is CEO, president, and head honcho at Conquer Credit. How you doing, Angela?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited about what we're going to share.
Totally. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. So you've been in business for about like 5 or 10 minutes, right? Like really like right off the boat.
That's what it feels like. No, yeah, I've been doing this for almost 27 years.
Wow. So you have been through the ups and downs of credit, right? The boom and people like, just borrowing and trying to grow and all of that. And then the bust in 2008 where people really got hurt.
Yes, I've definitely been through it all with different types of clients, whether it's consumers or business owners. It really doesn't matter. If you don't understand how to use your credit as an investment tool, you will fail. And a lot of the times I really feel that just like with our kids, we learn by failure. But if there's information and there's people out there that can lead, guide, and direct us, like you and myself, why not use it?
So let me ask you this, like, why are you doing credit stuff? Like, why aren't you, someone who does root canals or, why don't you, why aren't you a fashion designer? What is it about credit and credit advice that lights you up, and how did you get into the business?
Well, I told this story a long time ago. When I was a little girl, I wasn't like normal little girls. I used to dream about being a lawyer. And I would dream about being up late at night, working with my husband, and we're working on these amazing cases, all this study and whatnot, and being tenacious and persistent. And unfortunately, my life didn't turn out that way. I was emancipated by the time I was 16. I moved out of my house. I, graduated with a GED, but I worked 3 jobs, and I was working for a bank. And I quickly, from being a receptionist, became an underwriter. They had no idea, of course, how old I was. And I started to really get invested in understanding what credit and money was about. And lo and behold, unfortunately, because I was an underwriter, I was working for a subprime bank, and I was helping all of our clients get from the D program into the B program. So my boss called me in the office and he said, "Hey, Angela, I'm sorry, we've got to let you go." I said, "Well, why?" He says, you're saving our money. We can't do this." So that was my window to look into starting my own business. And I was just turning 19. And it was a great opportunity for me to learn and understand money and credit tactics. And since then, I've been doing this, and I love what I do. I get to learn something new all the time. I get to help people in, tough situations. I get to help people that are trying to grow their businesses and understand how they can use credit to help facilitate their cash flow and grow their business. So, that's why I do what I do. And that's how I started.
Nice. I love it. So let's get right into the credit side of the business, because I don't think I've ever used my business credit for anything. I've just used organic cash flow to do stuff. Why would someone want to use their credit, and how do you do it? Are you talking credit cards, like bank loans, private investors, or everything, or what?
All of the above, all of the above. I think that a lot of business owners make a huge mistake, and that is that they grow their business on their own backs. Business was designed for corporate America to carry you. Okay, now over the years, let's say, even 10 years ago, it was much easier for a small business to get a line of credit through a bank. But things have become so difficult in recent years with all of the downturn in the real estate market and things that have happened, that banks are more reluctant to give business owners credit unless they have established history. And I think it's extremely important for business owners to understand that they need to separate their personal credit assets with their business credit assets. The business should be operating its cash flow, its working capital, whatever it is, on its own. So in the event, of course we don't want this to happen, but in the event something happens to the business, you are not personally liable for some of the debts that the business has incurred. So I think that a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, I see them going and, they want to buy equipment for their businesses, and they go and they refinance their home and take cash out, and they've mortgaged their homes to the hilt. And then unfortunately their practice doesn't do well and they lose everything.
So I think you bring up a very important concept, which is diversification of your assets. And being smart on how you can leverage your business assets to grow. So, okay, everyone's like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, borrow through my business. So how do you just wake up and say, I'm going to borrow and build business credit? I've read stuff on this, but it's very murky and like unclear. So if someone is like never borrowed and wants to strategically build their credit without actually borrowing tomorrow, but they want to do it now when they don't need the money, and I think you'd advise on that, at least to start. How do you get started in doing this?
Well, there are a lot of different banks and credit facilities that will allow you as a business owner, as long as you've been in business for a year, 12 months, to get small lines of credit. There are going to be untraditional type places that you would go. I'm just going to bring up one like Home Depot. Home Depot will give any business a credit card and you don't have to personally guarantee it. That's just one. Costco's another one. So there's a list of vendors, which I can gladly send to you, that if you've been in business for at least 12 months, a credit card facility company will allow you a small credit line to start. Now, the key to building any type of credit, whether it's consumer or business, is there's a trick to building it, and that is that you have to use it. There are utilization patterns, not only with the FICO score that's used on the consumer side of things, but on the business side of things, there's a system called Paydex. And what Paydex is always looking at is very different than the consumer side. You have to be very strategic about setting up your business credit. So there are 3 different companies that business banks or credit card companies report to. The one we all know and have heard of is Dun & Bradstreet. Now, they are a privately held company. And the great thing about Dun & Bradstreet is that you are the driver of your own ship. So there are many things that you can do to amplify your business through working with Dun & Bradstreet and their particular programs. So you can make your business look very vibrant and bright, and also forecast the future of what your business is going to look like down, 3 to 5 years from now. So banks and financial institutions, when they're going to approve you for a line of credit or for anything business related, that's their first go-to. Is they're going to go to Dun & Bradstreet. They're going to go to the 2 others, which are Experian and Equifax.
So you get a credit card like Home Depot or Costco, whatever, through your business. You charge on it, you pay it off, and that builds your credit?
That's correct. But you want to make sure that one of the things you have to do with all banks is you have to pay some interest on a yearly basis. So when you're using these credit cards, there's a very specific and easy formula that I give to my clients, and that's this. When you use the credit card, whatever you use, when the bill comes in, you pay 80% of the bill, leave 20% to revolve and pay interest the following month. Do this 3 times in a row, and believe it or not, you are less of a risk factor with that particular bank than you would be if you use the credit card and pay it off in full at the end of the month.
So let's say that you want to, because I actually am working on this with a client of mine. Let's say you're going to need, you're going to need, $500,000, but not for like 2 or 3 years. If you do this game that you're saying, I'm calling it a game, whatever, and then you pay it off and you do the interest thing, and then a month 4, you're done. You now have built business credit. When you go to a bank to borrow money through an SBA program, or if you go to them directly, is the terms or the rate going to be better because you've established business credit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you've built a foundation for them to build on. If you have no foundation, they're going to look and say, well, what is it that you've been doing? They want somewhere to go. Let's say you're selling your business, okay? What does an investor do? Their due diligence, right? Well, what if they could do their due diligence by going straight to your Dun & Bradstreet and see what you've done over the last 10 years? Because this is the information that it carries.
Okay, I gotta go deep on this, because this is something that I think is really, really good that you're bringing up. So where do I want to go with this? So you do this, you establish some credit, and then you know that you're going to buy someone or borrow money or anything like that. When you go to the bank and borrow this money, they're going to look at your DMB score and be like, oh, you're high on it. Whatever that, what are the score averages? Like, what is a good score? What's a bad score?
A good score is 100. A bad score is going to be anything under 50.
Okay, so let's say you're at 90-ish or something like that. You've built that, you're at 90. Now all of a sudden you want to borrow money. If you don't have any DNB score, I got to believe they're going to look at your P&L, your balance sheet, your statements, cash flows. They're going to look into that anyways. So they're going to look at all of that. But then if you overlay the DNB score, which is high, the rate that you're going to get from a bank is going to be better?
I would say that not only is the rate going to be better, but the process in which you are borrowing the money is going to be easier, because they can go to this third-party company that verifies information and see what you've been doing from a business perspective for the last 3 years. Now, again, this person that you're speaking of in terms of getting $1 million or $2 million in 3 years, we would want to be very strategic with the types of lines of credit that this particular person gets and things like that, so that they're building it to a certain point. And then obviously when they're ready to get that big credit facility, there's going to be some challenges in getting that with any bank. It doesn't matter who it is, but this lessens the challenges, because there's so much data and information that is carried in these reports, and banks and financial institutions depend on this data and information.
So bottom line, build your DMB score before you need a loan. If you can do that, you'll be in much better shape. And we'll send people to a link that you give us on how to do that and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's awesome. Now, let's say that your business credit stinks. It's just bad for whatever reason. How do you improve it other than just paying down debt? Is there some specific fairy dust pixie magic that you have, or is it just like black and white? Dude, pay down your credit cards and your score will go up?
I have magic pixie dust.
Okay. What do you got?
All it's called is real hard work. So most business credit facilities, even when they're with the big banks, on the business side, it's way different than the consumer side. A lot of the times, let's say a client owes Bank of America, $3,000. You can go to Bank of America Business Credit. You can work out terms for them to update the business credit history back to where it was before, as long as they make full restitution or completely pay off the debt. So there's all kinds of different infractions that show up on a business credit that actually don't show up on consumer credit any longer, like tax liens or judgments that a business may have against them. And once again, really great news is that if a client has paid their tax liens, if they've paid said judgments, by the way, I can negotiate judgments for clients. I just had a client that owed a vendor over $143,000. I was able to negotiate for 20 cents on the dollar. And the vendor also removed the infraction from public records and from his Dun & Bradstreet. So
okay.
a lot of different things.
I love that. I love that. So for those of you who listen to me, I get a little wacky and random on crazy stuff. So I'm going to go right to like, oh my God, why did I not even think of this? And this could be the most important thing ever.
Yeah.
Negotiation. Why
Yeah.
did I not think of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it about negotiation? How do you negotiate as a business owner? But how do you do it personally for your clients? But also like the whole negotiation process is like you have your own agenda and they have theirs, right? So how do you figure out how to give them what you want and also get what you want?
Well, that's a good question. Number one, what I always check with is the stock market on the particular bank and financial institution that I'm working with to see kind of where they're at. The second thing that I do is I look at any pending lawsuits that they may have against them. I look at any complaints that they may have against them. And what I do is I develop a hardship story that I'm going to go to and negotiate back and forth with a particular person, either in the executive offices or the compliance office, with respect to any judgments or outstanding charge-offs that a client has. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about the rapport and the relationship that you develop with the other person on the phone. I can't tell you that there's anything magic that I do. I've just been doing this for such a long time. It's easy to relate with the other person on the other line. If I have information that's going to help me get a really good deal, such as showing that they've had a downturn in their business, they have a huge tax liability, I will consult with my client and find out, what is the reason? Why did this happen? And then we'll take that story and that information and package it up really good to give to this creditor. And
So
then
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and then just start the negotiation.
It sounds like it's logic and emotion. Now, don't you have like 72 kids or something like that?
It seems like it.
How many kids do you have? Like 12 or something?
I have three.
Three. Okay. And how old are they?
I have a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I have a 21-year-old, and I have a 23-year-old.
All right. Your 7-year-old doesn't want to brush his teeth. How do you get him to brush his teeth? What's the negotiation there?
I just basically show him pictures of people that haven't brushed their teeth when they're 25 and what their teeth look like. And he says, "Oh, mommy, I got to brush my teeth. This face has got to look good."
All right. Bottom line, people, when you're negotiating, tap into the emotions of people and work it. Next question. What did you have for lunch yesterday?
Oh my gosh, that's such a bad question because I went to CC's and I got off the diet and I had those stupid tiramisu pancakes.
Oh my God. People, you want to increase your credit score? Eat tiramisu pancakes every day. Your credit score will go up. All right, let's get back to business. Because I've seen this so much and I just want to like throw it out there and see what you think about this.
Yeah.
Some people put their credit score, whether it's business or personal, like on their sleeve. Like if their credit score is below like 700 or whatever, they freak out and they're like, oh my God, the world is going to end. Some people get so emotional and concerned. I mean, rightfully so, but they're like, it's like their identity. Like I got to get my credit score up to over 750 or whatever. Do you find that with the people that you work with? Like they're really, really concerned about it?
The thing
it's like a reflection on them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that, your credit equals your habits at the end of the day. So when you haven't been taught the right way, and, like I say, most of us learn by default, it does become something that you feel shameful about because you can't just walk into the car dealership and say, "Oh, I want that car," or walk into the bank and say, "Yeah, give me that credit card." And the freedom when you have a good FICO score to be able to do what it is that you want to do. Because here's the thing that's really important for us to understand is that this system of FICO, this algorithm that they're using, is not just for credit. It's going to be for insurance rates. They're starting to use this algorithm for everything because it is a risk analyzer that a lot of different corporations can use for their business. So rightfully so, when someone looks at their credit score and they're depressed about it, I don't want to say, hey, be depressed, but just take action and do something about it. learn from it so that you don't have to go through it again.
When people come to you with their credit scores of, 400 or 500, do you show them pictures of people who don't brush their teeth in 25 years?
That's a good one. I probably should.
Look, you better follow my lead, because if you don't, you're going to end up like that guy who didn't brush his teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's move to the personal side. So you hit something really important, that FICO is it's a widely used term. It's for a lot of stuff. I mean, where I see it the most is when I work with clients on refis or purchases of homes. I mean, like, it could cost 1/4 to 1/2 point on a loan where their FICO score isn't where they need it to be.
Yeah.
So I do want to stress, people, if you're listening, go look at your FICO score, freecreditreport.com, right? I mean, that's where I tell.
You can go there. You can go to Credit Karma. Credit Karma is a great app that you can have where you can monitor your credit. You can look at your FICO score every day. You can go to credit.com, which is Experian. One of the things is that identity theft is the #1 crime in America right now. And literally the reason why that's happening is because people are not aware and don't understand how to manage their credit. And so that's why you have all of these companies popping up everywhere that will give you for free.
So let me ask you another question, because I get this all the time, and I know you people who are listening, because this happens to you too. Is you log on to B of A or Chase, and all of a sudden there's this like inbox message. You have a new FICO score, click here. How accurate are those FICO scores versus going to the other sites that you're talking about?
Good question. So there are 3 different types of FICO scoring. You have consumer, financial, and auto. Okay. These are the 3 different algorithms that are used per industry. Okay. So all of the credit scores that you get, like you just mentioned, from Bank of America, because you're a credit card member of theirs, or when you go to Credit Karma or freecreditreport.com, all of these scores that you get online are consumer scores. Okay. Now they are good for nothing, unfortunately. And typically they are much higher than what you will get from a bank or a financial institution. So that's the second credit score, which is the financial credit score. Now, the financial credit score is loosely based on how many lines of credit that you have, meaning your revolving credit cards. It's really looking at credit cards.
Yeah.
Looking at your utilization. So the credit card companies back about 5 years ago increased the credit utilization factor with FICO almost 70%. And the reason that they did this was a lot of people, when the real estate crash happened, a lot of people lost their jobs. We went through, a huge deficit. And the baby boomers, or, people that were taught this way, had their credit cards in the safe where they had them in ice, right? Well, now disaster has hit. So they go and they get the credit cards out of the safe that they haven't used in 10 years. And now they're using them to live off of. So 5 years ago, the bank said, we have to protect ourselves against this risk. What is it that we're going to do? Well, we're going to raise the utilization factor. This means that every client, if you have a credit card, you must use your credit card once every 90 days. Okay. And then the other rule of credit that I explained, which is the 80-20 rule, you have to do that twice a year.
Is there going to be a quiz in like 2 hours? Because you're already hitting me with like, do this and do that. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm having for dinner. And you're telling me to do all of this. Oh my God. Whoever's doing the show notes on this podcast, please do good notes on this stuff. Because like, even I'm like, okay, 80% of this, credit card and safe, utilization rate 70%. Oh my God. Like this is like, no wonder why this is a business.
Yeah. And the thing is that, so that's the financial FICO score. Okay. That's loosely what it's looking at. So
okay.
If you have a client, let's say, that's had 3 credit cards and they haven't used them in the last year and their FICO score is lower, that's the reason.
Should you just close it down then?
No, you do not want to close a credit card, because if you close the credit card, it will negatively affect your credit history for 2 reasons. Number one, let me explain it this way. The FICO score is mathematics and it's looking at balance. You ever play the game Jenga?
Yes.
All the things up and then someone comes and take it out in the middle and everything falls,
You know,
right?
I'm actually thinking of Jenga because you have your bag hooked on a wall behind you over your right shoulder.
I
And I'm
know.
thinking it's an imaginary Jenga of all of your purses and bags.
No, that's just one. But
Okay.
if you could see up there, it has a little thing that says wife, mom, boss.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All
Yeah.
right, so we have Jenga going on, and you don't want us to cut out our cards because
You
why?
don't want to close your cards because it's going to negatively affect your credit history, because you're going to unbalance your ratios. Okay. But the other thing is that how about the longevity that you've had with that bank? Credit is
Yeah.
about relationships. Okay.
Yeah.
The longer you've had a relationship with the bank, the better your FICO score is going to be. But this is particularly only when you're going through a transaction. So it will affect your credit history for only 90 days. Okay. But you always want to make sure that your customers have at least 2 revolving credit cards. Now, revolving credit cards are your Visa, your MasterCard, your Discover. It's not American Express. American Express is considered an installment line of credit. Why is that? It's a charge card. Okay. American Express, you use the card. When the bill comes in, you pay it off. There's no revolving balance. Okay.
Well, people have balances on Amex, though, don't they?
That's their Optima side. Okay, so if you have an Optima American Express, that's a traditional revolving credit card. A lot of people don't have those with American Express as business owners. But if you do, then that's a traditional card. But I always like to mention that.
What if you just cancel a card because you want to take control of your money? You know your FICO score is going to go down 3 months, but in month 4, 5, 6, is it going to go back up?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So what would you say to someone who?
Cards, though.
Yeah, okay, you keep
all
2
your
cards.
cards. Yeah.
I have a question to the audience. Is anyone nauseous right now with all of this credit drama? Is anyone a little nauseous with credit? I don't know. I'm beginning to be, but I've got to bring myself back. Okay, so if I want to have 2 credit cards revolving, I get that. If I have one that I haven't used and I don't want to pay their annual fee, or I forget to pay it, or blah, 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 maybe I close it and I know I'll take the credit hit for 3 months, but then in 4 months I'll be back and maybe I'll be in a better space then. Maybe I just feel like I want to take more control.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but you just have to know that if you do that, you're going to take a hit for a quarter.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's really about being strategic. So you look at the cards that you have, and listen, banks want to help. Okay, so let's say you've had a credit card and you're thinking about, I want to close this card. I don't like it because of X, Y, and Z. The interest rate is too high. Call the bank. Say, hey, I've had a relationship with you for 15 years. This bank is offering me XYZ interest rate. Are you going to meet it, or should I just close this card and go to them? And a lot of the times the bank will say, you know what, Ms. Bessard, we would like to go ahead and grant that interest rate to you.
Okay.
As long as you use the credit card.
100 people, refried beans by tomorrow?
Yes, we have a goal to make 300 people the proud owners of 700 plus FICO scores. We're calling it the Conquer Club. And once they've been indoctrinated, I guess you could say, we send them this really cool t-shirt. I don't know if I should say what it says on there because it's kind of like.
Give it a whirl. Let's hear it.
It says, "What's your score, bitch?"
Ooh. I love it. Nice.
And then it says, "Mine is 700 plus, thanks to Conquer Credit."
Oh, very nice. You got to be snarky. You got to be snarky.
Well, it doesn't. It says BI and then the @ sign.
Yeah. I get it. That's awesome. I have 2 more questions. One is a random one because I think some people do this. Because I know I do, and I haven't quite figured out. I didn't even know about like the ramifications of this. But if you have someone, let's say you have a credit card in either your name or your business, and then you give another user a card, like, you know, Krane Financial Solutions is a credit card, and I give my assistant Jane a credit card. Now so Jane has her card. Now let's pretend that I don't pay off my credit. It's bad. It gets blah, blah, blah. Her FICO score is going to be affected by my card. Is that right? Or a nanny in that situation? Same thing. I have my own card. I give my cousin, my nanny, my friend, my uncle, whoever. If I'm not responsible in paying it off and my credit score goes down, isn't it going to affect their credit score even though they're just an additional user?
This is a very good question, and it's very important, friends, that you listen to the answer to this question, okay? So there are two ways to add someone to your credit card. Number one, you can add them as a joint card holder. When you do that, now the person that you've added has joint fiduciary responsibility. When you add someone as an authorized user, however, that person that you've added does not have any fiduciary responsibility, and you can take them off the card at any time. So it's very important that when you're adding people to a credit card, you only do it as an authorized user. The other thing that I counsel clients on, because I do a lot of post divorce, and I do also premarital counseling for people about credit, believe it or not. I know that's going to sound crazy.
No, it's good. I think it's great.
Yeah, but the thing is that couples need to understand that having separated credit is the best way to do business in a marriage. Why is that? Because one person might carry the debt load and the other person doesn't. Okay. If you want to invest in properties, it's much easier to do so. If life happens and you have to file bankruptcy or something like that happens, one files, the other doesn't, you live off the other's credit history. So it's very important to separate that. But back to your question is in terms of adding people. Did that make sense?
Yeah. I have a part two of the question.
Okay.
Is how many picture frames are on the back of your desk right now? I've counted that there are about 94.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 12.
Beautiful family you have. All right, here's my last question. Because I know someone's got to be thinking this. Debit cards. What if someone's like, you know what? Screw it. I suck with credit cards. I've never been able to pay them off. I stink. I'm just going debit card the whole way. Actually, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on. I want to get your opinion. I think, look, if you're that kind of person and you know that you can't budget, then go debit cards. And I don't have a problem if you don't have credit cards. Maybe you want to build your credit and you want to keep one on the side that's small. But if you feel like you just can't pay it off and you only want to use the money that's in your account and not have to stress, then go debit card. But I want to hear your perspective on that, because a lot of people just use debit cards and they're afraid of carrying any credit.
I understand. And for those clients that are afraid to trust themselves and, learn new ways, because a part of being a business owner is we've got to be accountable and responsible at some point.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there are other things that you can do to build credit and not use credit traditionally. And the way that you can do that is you can have those 2 credit cards and you can put reoccurring expenses on those credit cards. These are things that you're going to pay anyways. Okay, whether it's your utility bill or your cell phone bill or whatever it is that you have as a reoccurring expenditure from a business standpoint of view, you can put that on that credit card, and you're not actually spending money that you otherwise wouldn't be spending. And you're doing 2 things. You're paying your bills and you're building your credit.
You just have to pay off the credit card. That's the thing.
Well, you have it on auto pay.
No, but you got to, oh, I see. You have yeah, that's a good point. You do bring up a good point about automation and automating.
Yeah.
We didn't really hit that as much as we could, but while we're on it, is there anything you want to talk about with respect to automation?
Well, we live in a world of technology that's there actually to support us and make things easier for us, specifically as business owners. And, this topic that you're bringing up about people living in fear, and not wanting to trust themselves with credit. It is a big thing. And I think it's just because people don't have the knowledge, they don't really understand. And when you have an understanding, I think you look at things from a different perspective. And that's why I said, I think that when you set these 2 credit cards up, you've got your, reoccurring expenditures, whatever they are. I tell clients to do this all the time. And then what happens is they start to trust themselves and say, oh, maybe I can do this, and then 2 years later, they're using credit cards the way that they were intended to be. Okay.
Thank you so much, Angela, for coming on. People had a great time listening. I know they have, because they got gobs of notes. And I know a lot of them are like, oh my God, I have to have my boyfriend or spouse or listen to this, because there was a ton of nuggets in here. So where am I sending people to you? Where can they go to get more info?
They can go to conquercredit.com, and I'll spell it for you. That's C as in cat, ONQ as in queen, because I'm the credit queen, UER.com. So if you go to conquercredit.com, you can learn more about our company and the different services that we offer. And I am also a speaker and an educator on this subject. So if you ever have small groups and you need some help and you want to know more, call on me for that.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.